Hello and welcome to DH Newsroom. On November 21, the Union government announced the implementation of four new labor codes, which rationalized 29 existing labor laws with immediate effect. Many of these 29 labor laws were framed in the pre-independence era and or shortly after independence. They were outdated and fragmented, and the government hopes that these four labor codes will align with the global ecosystems and lay the foundation for a future-ready workforce. The four codes are the Code on Wages 2019, the Industrial Relations Code 2020, the Code on Social Security 2020, and the Occupational Safety, Health, and Working Condition Code 2020. The new codes stress on social security and women's participation. To discuss these developments, I have two of my colleagues, Gyanendra Kesari and Shemin Joy, with me. Gyanendra, I'll first come to you. What do the labor codes mean for employers?
Thank you, Viju. See, labor reform has been a long pending demand from the industry, from the companies. There have been talks from the industry and experts that India's manufacturing sector and economy has been constrained by the lack of labor reform. So this reform, remember, this reform has come after a long push from the industry. They have been demanding. So there are a lot in it for the industry as well as for the employees. Obviously, the employees part have been put and elaborated more by the government. So first, I'll tell you what is in it for the employers, the companies, what they have been pitching for. So, as you mentioned, that most of the labor laws were framed before independence. So now the economic situation is different. So employers have been pitching that, okay, now your labor laws should be in sync with the economic developments now. The needs of the now is different what it was 75 years back. So you need to simplify the regulation. Earlier, there were 29 laws. Now you have to bring it down. So simplification is one part. Other part is hiring and firing, which has been a major demand that we should have more flexibility in hiring the people, as well as when you don't have the economic activity, then you should be able to lay off the employees. So there is a major change. Now employers are going to have more flexibility in firing people. Earlier, the companies or institutions were up to 100 workers. They didn't need permission from the government. But now this limit has been raised to 300. So if in an organization where there is up to 300 workers, they won't need government's permission to lay off employees. So there is a huge flexibility here, up to 300 workers. If you can hire and fire at your requirement, as per your requirement. So a large number of companies in the MSME, you can say, will be in this category. And as a result, a large number of workforce will come out of this protection. Another important part here is about the strikes. So this has been a major demand that in a strike used to hamper the productivity, and it used to bring unpredictability. So now what is happening is there will be it is going to be very difficult for employees to do the strikes. You need to give 14 days notice for the if you want to do the strike. So that is going to be virtually like you have to give 14 days notice to the employer that, okay, I'm going on a strike. So this is going to be virtually what you say, you won't be able to legally go on a strike. So there, the employees are going to be less at if you want to have organized demand for something. So flexibility is going to be more for the employers. Obviously, there
Okay.
are so many positives for employees also.
Okay,
If
I'll just cut you there because that's a good segue to go to Shemin. Employers, that up to 300 people can be employees can be laid off at the company's discretion without prior notice. Strikes have to be notified 2 weeks in advance, fortnight in advance. Understandably, 10 central trade unions have termed these new regulations anti-worker, pro-employer labor codes. The Congress has questioned the effectiveness of this, and the left government in Kerala, the labor minister has said that the center's labor codes will not be implemented in the state. Chairman, if I could ask you, what is the political reactions in general, and are these on expected lines?
These are unexpected lines. See, the trade unions, the 10 central trade unions, which are aligned to the opposition parties at present, they have used strong words to describe the implement notification of these four codes. These trade unions include AITUC, CITU, INTUC, HMS, and others. So they have called it genocidal attacks, war on the working masses. They said it is a deceptive fraud. They were also linked it to the Bihar polls. So they say that the center has notified it because of they are deceived with the victory in Bihar elections. That is the word they used. So,
Hmm.
see, on all points, what Gyanendra raised, Gyanendra mentioned in his response to the first question, on almost all points, these trade unions are against against the government or against the courts. From 2020 onwards, when the courts were passed in parliament, they were on a war path, they were on a protest path, they had held at least two general strikes on these issues. So the opposition to these courts will continue. And one thing you have to notice is that, like, these labor codes can be implemented operationally only after each state notifies the rules. So
Okay.
that notification has to come from the states. That is what this Kerala Labour Minister Shivankutti's announcement saying that Kerala state government will not implement this labour codes come into play. So Kerala he has also announced that they will be hosting a conclave, labour conclave in December, where he will be inviting all ministers and all governments which are opposed to this law. So we can see a lot of protest, and especially that in April, May there are elections, especially West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Kerala are going to polls. So I don't see any smooth rollout of these labor codes at least in the next 6 months.
If I could ask you, if a state or a couple of states were to not implement or notify this, does this still go ahead? What would be the next step after that?
In others, to see, it takes a little time. Like when in 2020, why this delay in notifying this courts by the center? Because the center wanted all states to first notify the draft rules, and
Okay.
right now, not all states have notified the draft rules also, which will become the official rules in implementing these things. So in the states which have notified the rules, it will be implemented. Other places, okay, this confrontation with the center will continue. That is the. But see again, if you look at Congress's reaction, Congress has not outrightly rejected this courts. If you go by the comments of their official spokesperson, they are mentioning it as they are talking it as some revolutionary step. The government is trying to project it as some revolutionary step and asking questions like, will you ensure a national minimum wage of say rupees
Yeah,
400?
the minimum wage of 400 is what the Congress seems to be focusing on.
Yeah,
Okay,
not
I'll
that
just
alone. Urban law and urban employment guarantee scheme and all. So next few months will be a lot of we will see a lot of back and forth on this issue.
Okay, Gyanendra, if I were to come to you, industry bodies have welcomed this move. If I were to ask you, the labor codes, are they worker friendly or employee friendly? Could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, I think there is a fine balance. And from the workers' perspective, obviously, minimum wage you are talking. So there is a guarantee for minimum wage. Now
Hmm.
it's up to the state government and central government. States also decide on the minimum wage. So you can have minimum wage. So far as implementation, if I can just comment on what Semin is saying, states obviously labor laws, states have their own laws and center has laws. But most of the states are going to be with it because of the BJP's government is
The political alignment is such so that most of the
yes.
states will align with the center's.
Yes, so they are going to be a smooth implementation. Now, for the in practicality, if you go, majority of the workers are in informal
Sectors.
Sector.
arrangement. So even in the companies, you have workers on the term contracts, 1 year contract, 3 year contract. Those who don't have any social security, they were at the whims of the employers to be hired. So it is going to be a huge relief for them. They are going to have some sort of protection.
Okay.
Similarly, for the gig workers, you have a large number of people working there. For them, there is going to be something. So they can see that, okay, I am also a worker. So they are going to have, say, appointment letters. They are going to get some social security benefits. So this is going to be very good for them. There is provision for
It's,
mandatory appointment letters.
if I could just interrupt, there is this portion, and you had done a story on it. And for our viewers, I want to say, if you go to our website, you can read that story where Gyanendra has done a story about how it would affect the take-home salary. Could you explain that a bit to our viewers? How this is going to impact your take-home salary?
Yeah. So that is obviously I have written that it is going to reduce your salary. So this is under the new laws. There is provision to have your basic pay at least of the 50% of CTC. So CTC in general, we see that CTC is a structure in such a way that basic pay is much less than the 50%. So if to comply with that, the salary has to be restructured in such a way that it is the basic pay is at least the 50% of CTC. Now, your basic pay impacts your PF contribution, your bonus, your gratuity. So all these things are dependent. Your social security benefits, the contribution is linked to your basic pay. So if you are supposing that your CTC is not going to increase, then what will happen? If you are increasing your contribution to the social security benefits like gratuity and PF bonus, then what you are going to take home is going to reduce. It is going to go down unless until there is a substantial increase in your CTC. So that way it is going to impact your immediate salary take home. And for the larger economy, you can say that if your take home is less, then it is going to impact the consumption also. So that is going to have a wider impact on the economy. In the long run, you are saving more. You will get higher payouts in your gratuity, in your PF, in your bonus. So in long run, it is going to be good for the employee. You are saving for your future. So for future, it is going to be good. But immediate impact is going to be like if it is implemented as it is planned, your take home is going to come down.
Your take home is going to come down, but your long-term savings is likely to increase. Chairman, if I could come to you, the ruling party is going ahead with the perception that, or is reinforcing the perception that it is a pro-worker friendly party, and that's why the labor code reforms have come through. Previous governments which have been there, the ones in the opposition today, have not been proactive, is what the ruling party would want us to believe. Your comments on that?
See, most of the opposition parties, the ruling parties, I would say, it's not just the BJP, in the India camp or the opposition camp also, like DMK or Congress. And see, they are not at all completely against, except for the left parties. None of them, other parties are completely against this labor codes. They want some kind of a codification. Even the left parties are not against codification, but like in the way it is done or the emphasis on that. So, but the trade unions and others, those who are opposing the labor codes, are talking about the association, like the freedom for forming an association. Those kind of things have been curtailed. That is their allegation or their claim. So they don't see this as a positive step like the industry or others.
Okay. just
See, if
to
I can
ask,
tell you what is the
go ahead.
simplification it is bringing. So the registration is going to be single registration. So this is going to be a major relief for the companies, and also getting the investment in the states where you see like Bihar or West Bengal, UP. So if you have a single registration, you don't bother for the unfriendly labor union or that kind of thing pushback in those states.
Okay.
So registration is going to be single. Registrars, the number of registrar is going to go down from 84 to 8. So currently you see you are required to fill 181 form just related to the labor. That is going to come down to 73. So and
Okay.
there is at present 31 returns are to be filed. So that is going to come down to be a single, and that too you can do electronic returns. The number
So,
of rules and regulations currently.
is it fair to say that the ease of doing business, this is the shot in the arm for that?
This is a major step for ease of doing business. So
Okay.
that has been this has been the main plank for the government, that the purpose is to ease making doing business easier here, and that's why they have come up with this. And this remember, this is 5 years, so they have been passed in Parliament 5 years back. That's the main purpose. And I think it is going to help the businesses.
Okay. Just before winding up, Shemin, just got to ask you, Parliament session is starting on Monday. Do you think this will be discussed and debated in Parliament?
This will be one of the main issues they will be raising, but this is not the big issue, because I think the special intensive revision, the SIR exercise, will be the focus of the opposition parties. Of course, this will also be part, but on a secondary level.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Gyanendra, just one last question. This was the salary part that you had asked. The basic going high, which means the take home going down, would this have an implication on the tax slabs of employees? Would you have that calculation, or would it affect in any chance?
No, I don't think it is going to impact. But yes, at the higher level, obviously, there are certain. But that is going to be limited to very few numbers, where companies restructure the salary in such a way that your tax implication is less. So there, I think it is going to have impact, but not a substantial number. That will be in few, I think 1% or so employees. But for the majority of things, I think it is going to have positive impact in terms of certainty and stability in that sense. So
Sure. Okay. In the days ahead, in the months ahead, we'll get to know the implication of the 4 new labor codes. It's evenly poised. It has good and bad. It has good things both for the employer and the employee. We'll have to see how that goes. For all the latest developments on this, you can go to our website, www.deccanherald.com, where Gyanendra Kesri will be covering it, and Shemin Joy will be covering the political reactions to it. You can also visit our YouTube channel, deccanherald.com, for the latest videos. If you've not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Press the bell icon so that the next time a video drops, you'll be notified. Until then, thank you.